coordinates, send it straight up to the FCC.
It's KG4WPW.
Yeah, okay. I still keep checking my mailbox from the FCC. I ain't got nothing yet. I wonder why that is.
You keep running wide, you will.
Well, let me tell you, I encouraged them to send me something to run wide.
Yeah, they're coming to arrest your ass and throw you in jail.
I tell you what, they show up on my front porch to arrest me. You better have a warrant.
They don't want to do that, Bruce. They don't want to send him nothing because he's running wide, because they know he's wide.
He's talking about his ass is wide or what, Morgan?
Well, everything about him. I don't know why they do that anyhow. I mean, they don't sound no better.
Well, actually, they do, but it depends on what you call better. They don't sound natural.
Well, Bruce, when I'm sitting here listening on a 2.7 filter, what damn difference does it make how wide he's running? He ain't gonna sound no better on my radio.
I would like to explain that to you if you'll let me. The bottom of what they're transmitting is moved up the scale. That 2.7 you're listening, bottom is spread out, covering a larger area of that 2.7.
He sounds the same on me if he's a transmitting 2.7 or 4.0.
Okay, I just explained it to you.
Well, what's my bandwidth right now, Marty?
I don't know what it is, Tom. I've not got no scope up.
All right. So if you don't know what my bandwidth is, it shouldn't be an issue.
3-4.
3-3. You were close.
I've not got my radio on that's got that on it, so I don't particularly care what you're running.
Then if all you're hearing me is at 2.7, then problem solved.
Well, problem solved. I mean, but you know, the gentleman agreement's 3-0.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Can we just leave the gentleman's agreement out of it and use FCC rules?
Yeah. FCC rules says 302.
No, it doesn't. It says 2.8.
Well, I mean, it actually does, but
It's supposed to be 2.8 wide max.
3.0.
That's not. Whoever said 2.8 max, that's wrong.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I think he's right, Tom. It says 2.8.
Okay, the malarkey rule or monarchy, whatever is Michael LaMonica, whatever his name is, and I sent you that thing, Bruce.
Okay, we're not talking about that, Tom.
Well, I am. The FCC, they wanted it 2.8 as a rule, and it's not a rule. 2.8 is not a rule.
Okay, we're not talking about that, Tom. You're talking about something that happened once upon a time. And they said, no, we're not going to do that. We're talking about FCC rules that are active and in enforcement now.
No, they're not.
You mean they're not active and not in enforcement?
No, what I'm saying is Riley is sending out stuff with the ARRL on bandwidth, but the FCC is not doing that. See, Riley's got a personal thing about bandwidth.
All right. I don't know anything about what Riley's preferences are.
Well,
I don't care.
We're
talking about FCC rules.
ARRL, what do you call it, volunteer monitor coordinator, but it's not the FCC.
Oh, no. I got some rules from Bruce here. It's been a pretty good while back, but the rules that he found is particularly in the FCC rules that you're not supposed to go over 3 wide.
That's not true.
Well, it's true. It's very true, and it says on all
I'm sorry, it's not. It is not a rule on bandwidth.
It is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's very difficult to explain in detail and accuracy. Marty says 3. If your bottom is starting at 100 and your top's at 3, you're only 29 wide. You're not 3 wide.
Correct.
He's talking about the top.
Correct.
Okay. To avoid running into that problem, because I could move my bottom up to 500 and I could move my top to 3,500 and I would only be 3K wide. It would sound funny as hell to everybody because I wouldn't have any bottom end. But I would still be 3K wide, but I moved it up the scale, if you see what I'm saying. Now, the FCC doesn't even address that. They
Correct.
talk about how many dBs below the center of your threshold frequency. If you go out from the center and you get to where you're 30 dBs down, that's what they're calling the edge of the bandwidth.
Okay.
Try to figure that out using a radio.
Okay.
You can't.
Well, I would encourage anybody to send me anybody that has gotten an FCC warning for bandwidth, and I'll shut my mouth.
Well,
They
Richard got
have,
one.
but it was a long time ago.
Richard did not get an FCC warning for bandwidth.
Richard got one not too long ago.
No, he did not. He got something from the ARRL, Riley Hollingsworth, the volunteer monitor coordinator.
But still got something. You said somebody send him something. Hey,
No,
still got something.
That's not what I said, Marty. Marty, I noticed as you get older, your hearing has problems. I said FCC.
Sent them something.
I said FCC, Marty.
Yeah. You gotta listen. It's pretty much.
You gotta listen. I said anything, an FCC warning, if anybody can show me that somebody got a warning letter from the Federal Communications Commission for bandwidth, I'll shut my mouth.
Well, their FCC is not really what you per se monitoring this anymore.
Well, if they're not monitoring it, what's the problem?
Well, they allow the ARRL to do that for them.
Well, no.
Yeah, but it's not official.
The ARRL volunteered to do that.
Right.
But here's the problem. Amateur radio, since the beginning of amateur radio, or even before it was called amateur radio, was self-regulated.
Yeah.
It is still considered to be self-regulated.
Right.
And the problem is when people start talking and they don't check in, people don't ID it 10 minutes after they've checked in, people use profanity and all the other things that are different from what has always been standard practice.
Well, I'm trying to think of the last ham that actually got an FCC warning or fine notice for profanity.
Oh, okay. Let me ask you something, Tom. It doesn't have anything to do with profanity or wit or anything else.
Well, you mentioned profanity. That's why I said that.
Well, I know. It's like people want to pick apart everything I say and see if they can find one word that was said so they can make a big story about that. So let me ask you this. What's wrong with it being self-policed, and what's wrong with following standard amateur radio practice, even if the FCC doesn't enforce it?
Well, okay, I'm not against you. Well, but when you say self-police or self-enforced, who's doing it?
Everybody that's an ham operator that knows.
Well, the problem you run into that with, Bruce, is that what happens is it becomes subjective to where people have their own interpretation of the rules.
Well, you're going to have that. You're going to have interpretations like the guy that said, I know I was born a man, but I defy anybody to prevent me from going into a woman's restroom. I hate it for him.
Right.
Because he's going to run into somebody with a different opinion if their daughter's in the girl's restroom and he goes in there.
See, I know not to do that. When I was in the 3rd grade, I went into the girls' restroom one time accidentally. I got a one for that.
Yeah,
and you should know not to run over 3 wide, but you do.
Well,
What do you mean? Why can't I run over 3 wide if you're only listening at 2.7?
He just does not get it, does he?
I get it, but you're trying to control my transmitter, Marty, and if you're only receiving at 2.7, we're on the same frequency.
Tom, I know you're not that dumb now. Come on, be real, man.
Marty,
Take you for
let me
the
know when you two get done. I was trying to say something. I guess you was talking to Marty and didn't want to hear what I had to say, which is all
Well, Marty keyed up on top of you, and I can't hear you, Bruce. Turn your amp on.
Why don't y'all quit killing each other and